You wake up again, the same ritual. The alarm slices through the quiet dark like a dull knife, not sharp enough to jolt you fully awake, but insistent enough to drag you from the warmth of tangled sheets. Your hand reaches out, instinctive, silencing it before it fully screams. You lie there for a beat, eyes tracing the faint cracks in the ceiling, those familiar fractures that mirror something deeper, unseen. The room smells of yesterday's coffee, stale and clinging, a reminder that time moves forward while you stay suspended. You swing your legs over the edge of the bed, feet meeting the cold floor. It's not the chill that stops you, it's the weight, that invisible anchor pulling at your chest, whispering, "Not yet, not today." But you push through because that's what you do. You dress in clothes that fit the role, the crisp shirt, the slacks that say competent, reliable together. In the mirror, your reflection stares back, eyes a little hollow, smile practiced to perfection. You nod at yourself, a silent contract renewed. Pretend, perform, persist. This is your morning liturgy, isn't it? The quiet ceremony of becoming someone else before the world even stirs. You step into the kitchen, brew the coffee stronger than it needs to be, scrolling through notifications on your phone. Messages from colleagues, family, friends, each one a thread in the web you've spun so meticulously. Great job on the presentation. How are you holding up? Let's catch up soon. You type back the expected responses. Thumbs up, heart emojis, words that sound like you but feel like echoes. I'm fine. Thriving, actually. Thanks for asking. But deep down in that shadowed chamber of your psyche where truths dare not speak aloud, you know the paradox crushing you. You're done pretending, yet you can't stop. The mask has fused to your skin, seamless, undetectable to others. They see success, stability, the one who always shows up. You see the fracture lines widening, every nod, every laugh, every yes, I can handle it, chips away at the core of who you are. You're exhausted not from the doing, but from the being, this relentless act of translation, converting your raw, messy self into something palatable, productive, approved. Imagine your life as a vast, echoing theater. Spotlights blaze on the stage where you perform flawlessly. The promotion earned through gritted teeth, the relationships maintained with diplomatic precision, the dreams deferred with rational excuses. Applause trickles in, likes, promotions, nods of admiration, but the house is empty beyond the footlights. No one sees the wings where you collapse against the painted flats, breath ragged, makeup smearing under the weight of unspoken grief. This is the core paradox. In striving to be everything to everyone, you've become nothing to yourself. You're a ghost in your own story, haunting the edges of a life scripted by fear. You feel it most acutely in those stolen pauses, the drive home when traffic halts and the radio fades to static, leaving only the hum of your thoughts, or late at night when the house settles into silence and your mind replays the day's deceptions like a looped reel. Why did I say yes to that project when my body screamed no? Why did I laugh at the joke that curdled my stomach? Why do I apologize for space I deserve to occupy? The questions coil like smoke, thickening the air until you can't breathe. You're not lazy, not weak, not broken. You're done with the charade that trades your vitality for validation, your truth for tranquility. This pretending isn't casual, it's a survival architecture, built brick by exhausting brick over years, maybe decades. Picture it as a child. You learned quickly, the tantrum quelled by a forced smile, the hurt hidden to keep peace, the dreams whispered only to the dark, lest they be dismissed. Each adaptation a mortar, sealing cracks in your fragile foundation. Now, adult you inhabits this fortress impregnable, isolating. Invitations arrive to lead, to love, to leap. But inside, the paradox pulses. Stay safe in the pretend, or shatter the walls and risk the fall. You've tried quitting before, haven't you? The half hearted boundaries, the no that slipped out too softly to stick, the journal entries vowing change that gathered dust. Each attempt recoiled by the system's backlash, the guilt gnawing like acid, the fear of unraveling everything you've built. Friends notice the fatigue in your voice, the way your eyes dart away mid conversation. You okay? They ask, and you deflect with a chuckle. Just tired. But they sense it, the dissonance humming beneath your skin like a live wire. This is where we begin, you and I in the quiet admission. You're not alone in this theater of pretense. Millions orbit the same stage, performers in a grand illusion of adequacy. But you've reached the edge. The footlights flicker, the curtain trembles, you're done pretending, not as a reckless slogan, but as the primal roar of your psyche demanding reclamation. Feel it now, that spark in your solar plexus, the one that warms against the chill of suppression. It's not rebellion, it's return. Return to the unvarnished you, the one who aches, rages, dreams without apology. Yet here's the hook that ensnares us all. Quitting pretense isn't flipping a switch, it's dismantling a nervous system's ancient wiring, forged in the fires of early wounds. You've armored yourself against rejection, abandonment, the terror of not enough. Each pretense a shield, blunting the blows of a world that punishes vulnerability. But shields grow heavy, you see. They bend the spine, dim the eyes, hollow the heart. The paradox deepens. In protecting yourself, you've imprisoned the very essence worth protecting. Let me paint it viscerally. You're at a dinner party, laughter cascading like champagne. Stories flow, connections spark. You contribute the perfect anecdote, timed flawlessly. Inside, a scream builds. This isn't me. I want to leave. I want to cry. I want to be seen. But you sip your wine, nod along, the mask impermeable. Later, alone, the crash comes, not tears, but a numb void. You've traded presence for performance, intimacy for isolation. This is the emotional spine of your exhaustion, the silent erosion of authenticity, where every yes to the world is a no to your soul. You're nodding now, aren't you? Recognition dawning like dawn through fog. This isn't judgment, it's validation. Your pretending is masterful, a testament to your resilience. But mastery without meaning is a gilded cage. You've outgrown it. The bars bend under the pressure of your unspoken truth. Just quit. Not tomorrow. Not when it's convenient. Now, in this breath, feel the invitation to drop the script. As we journey deeper, we'll excavate the roots, how this paradox etched itself into your neurology, becoming the default code for survival. You'll see the archetype emerge, the pretender, noble guardian turned silent saboteur. But first, linger here in the paradox. Let it wash over you like rain on parched earth. You're done. The quitting begins with witnessing. I see you. I honor you. And now we unroll Chapter 2, Archetype Analysis. The pretender defined. Your psychology is an ancient battlefield, etched with the scars of forgotten wars. But amid the rubble stands a figure, timeless and towering, the pretender, not the casual liar or the performative influencer, but the archetype born from the soul's deepest compromise, the one who sacrifices authenticity for the illusion of safety. This is no modern invention, no fleeting trend of social media facades. The pretender is an ancient defense mechanism of the nervous system, wired into humanity's collective unconscious since the dawn of tribal survival. Picture it. In the flickering firelight of prehistory, the outcast died alone under starless skies. To belong was to breathe. To differ was to vanish. Thus, the pretender emerged, cloaking the raw self in camouflage, whispering, blend, adapt. And we name this archetype precisely because it transcends personality. It's a psychic structure, a symbolic guardian forged in the crucible of unmet needs. Psychologically, the pretender embodies the false self as described by Donald Winnicott, the compliant shell erected to appease the external world, while the true self withers in exile. Symbolically, imagine a grand oak tree, roots twisted not toward nourishing soil, but coiled around stones of rejection, ancient boulders of parental dismissal, peer exclusion, cultural decree. The trunk grows straight, impressive, leafing out in perfect symmetry to win the sun's favor. But inside, the heartwood rots, hollowed by the strain of unnatural growth. This is you, majestic in appearance, fracturing from within. The pretender's crown dazzles, achievements charm reliability, but its roots scream of betrayal, the self abandoned for applause. Delve deeper into its essence. The pretender operates through three interlocking veils: the veil of compliance, the veil of minimization, and the veil of projection. The veil of compliance drapes you in yeses that suffocate, saying I'll handle it when your body begs retreat, attending gatherings where your spirit recoils. It's the nod to the boss's bad idea, the smile through the friend's toxic vent. Symbolically, it's the chameleon's skin, shifting hues not for beauty, but for evasion of the predator's gaze. This veil ensures belonging, but at the cost of sovereignty, your desires blur into others' expectations, leaving you a vessel for borrowed lives. Then comes the veil of minimization, the subtle eraser of your inner magnitude. You downplay triumphs, it was nothing, and amplify flaws. I should have done better. This is the pretender's sleight of hand, rendering your light dim to avoid envy or the burden of notice. Think of the lighthouse keeper who dims the beam lest it blind the ships it guides. Metaphorically, it's the river dammed by self-doubt, pooling potential into stagnant ponds rather than carving canyons of impact. Your gifts, intuition sharp as a blade, empathy vast as oceans, shrink under this veil, manifesting as chronic hesitation, the almost that haunts your night. The third veil, projection, is the most insidious, casting your disowned shadows onto the world. The pretender accuses others of judgment to preempt your own vulnerability, snaps at loved ones for neediness to bury your own ache for connection. It's the mirror reversed, reflecting not your truth but your terrors. Symbolically, envision a puppeteer whose strings tangle, animating marionettes that mock the hand that pulls them. In relationships, this births cycles of pursuit withdrawal. You crave depth, yet project superficiality onto partners. In career, ambition flares, then fizzles, blaming toxic workplaces for your unspoken sabotage. This archetype isn't villainy, it's valor twisted. Rooted in attachment theory, the pretender arises from insecure bonds, the anxious avoidant dance where love felt conditional, doled out for performance. Bowlby's internal working models encode this early. I am worthy only if I please. Neurologically, it's etched in the amygdala's hypervigilance, the default mode network looping threat narratives. Jung would call it the persona inflated to eclipse the shadow. The unintegrated wildness you fear will devour you if unleashed. Yet, herein lies its genius as a defense. In a world of scarcity, pretense, secured resources, relationships, survival, the child who mirrored mother's moods ate that night. The adolescent who feigned interest won the clique's shield. The adult who performs climbs ladders others dare not ascend. But symbols evolve into shackles. The pretender's heroism sours into tragedy when the threat recedes, yet the armor endures. You inhabit boardrooms and bedrooms as this spectral knight, sword of sarcasm sheathed in politeness, shield emblazoned with fine. Observers applaud the poise, blind to the chafe of ill-fitting plate. Emotionally, it's a drought, authenticity's river diverted, leaving cracked earth where joy once flowed. Philosophically, it echoes Nietzsche's slave morality, virtue twisted into resentment, power surrendered to the herd's gaze. Your life becomes a palimpsest, original script, scraped away for safer ink. Consider the pretender's life cycle, a spiral of intensification. Infancy, the cry modulated to coo. Childhood, dreams shelved for approval. Adolescence, rebellion quashed into conformity. Adulthood, mastery of the mask, exhaustion as the toll. Now, mid script, the archetype cracks. Midlife malaise, burnouts blaze, forcing confrontation. Myths abound. Odysseus, the wanderer whose cunning disguises hid a homeward heart. Penelope weaving and unweaving to stall suitors, mirroring the pretender's eternal deferral. Modern echoes pulse in literature, Holden Caulfield's phoniness radar, Esther Greenwood's bell jar of performed sanity. Yet, intellectual credibility demands evidence. fMRI studies illuminate the pretender's neural throne, prefrontal cortex, hyperactivity, in social suppression, ventral striatum, muted in authentic reward. Polyvagal theory frames it as dorsal vagal shutdown, freeze response chronicled into dissociation. It's not flaw, it's firmware, adaptive until maladaptive. The spine of this script, the silent erosion of authenticity, crystallizes here. Pretense trades essence for existence, birthing isolation's void. You felt the pretender's grip in micro moments. The throat tightened. I'm okay after heartbreak. The forced enthusiasm for obligatory holidays. It's masterful mimicry, fooling even you. But mastery without mastery of self is mausoleum. The archetype beckons unmasking, not destruction, but integration. Honor its service, it navigated tempests you scarce remember. Now, invite it to stand aside, revealing the sovereign beneath. As we proceed, witness how this ancient sentinel rewired your nervous system, a battlefield where prefrontal reason wars with limbic terror. The pretender isn't you, it's your protector, outstayed. Feel the invitation step from symbol to substance. The unmasking dome. Chapter 3, The Psychological Foundation, Nervous System Rewiring. Your psychology is an ancient battlefield where the pretender's veils were forged, not in conscious choice, but in the primal fires of neuroplasticity, the brain's relentless rewiring for survival. This isn't abstract theory. It's the architecture of your exhaustion, etched neuron by neuron through repetition and reinforcement. Every forced smile, every swallowed truth, every adaptation to appease has ousted your default mode, turning pretense into autonomic reflex. To quit, you must map this terrain. Understand the three pillars propping the pretender's throne: polyvagal dysregulation, attachment schema encoding, and the somatic imprint of suppressed affect. These aren't flaws, they're elegant adaptations gone rogue, demanding not eradication, but recalibration. Begin with polyvagal theory, Stephen Porges' revolutionary lens on the autonomic nervous system. Your ventral vagal pathway, the social engagement circuit fostering safety, connection, genuine expression, lies dormant, throttled by the pretender's siege. Instead, you default to sympathetic mobilization, the fight or flight rev of chronic hyperarousal, manifesting as that knot in your gut before meetings, the jaw clench during small talk, or worse, dorsal vagal collapse, the freeze of dissociation, where you perform on autopilot, soul adrift. Imagine your nervous system as a symphony orchestra gone discordant. The conductor, your prefrontal cortex, signals connect authentically, but the brass section, amygdala blares threat, drowning melody in cacophony. fMRI scans confirm this. Pretenders show ventral striatum hypoactivation during honest self-disclosure, robbing you of dopamine's authentic reward. Pretense becomes the path of least resistance, a neurochemical shortcut wired young. Layer onto this attachment schema encoding John Bowlby's Ghost in the Machine. Insecure attachments, ambivalent, avoidant, disorganized, imprint internal working models via the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal HPA axis. Childhood cues of conditional love flood cortisol, associating vulnerability with annihilation. Your schema whispers, expressed truth, invite abandonment. This encodes as operant conditioning, rewarded compliance, praise belonging, strengthens prefrontal amygdala loops, while authentic bids, tantrums, tears, trigger shame cascades, pruning neural pathways to suppression. Dan Siegel's work on interpersonal neurobiology illuminates how mirror neurons, meant for empathy's bridge, twist into mimicry's trap. You scan faces not for resonance, but for cues to conform, hypervigilant attunement masking your signal. The result, schema-locked neurology, where I am safe only in sameness, perpetuating the erosion of third. The somatic imprint of suppressed affect. Bessel van der Kolk's The Body Keeps the Score, made manifest. Unexpressed emotions don't vanish. They somatically scar, tight psoas muscles signaling unprocessed fear, shallow diaphragmatic breath betraying chronic anxiety. This is bottom-up rewiring. The insula, your interoceptive compass, desensitizes to authentic signals under pretense's barrage. Vagus nerve tone plummets, inflammation rises, elevated C-reactive protein and chronic suppressors, birthing the fatigue you can't name. Metaphorically, it's a riverbed of frozen grief. Surface calm, subterranean ice cracking under pressure. Each pretense event, nodding through outrage, deposits amyloid plaques of unresolved arousal, akin to PTSD's neural debris. Eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, EMDR studies, reveal how bilateral stimulation thaws these imprints, restoring flow. Your body, the unsung cartographer, maps the pretender's empire in fascia and vagal fibers. These pillars interlock in a feedback vortex. Polyvagal shutdown cues attachment schemas, not safe to be real, amplifying somatic tension, which floods the HPA with glucocorticoids, eroding hippocampal volume. Your memory of self shrinks, prefrontal executive function fatigues, defaulting to rote scripts. Evolutionarily, this brilliance shines. Ancestral pretenders survived famines by placating alphas, plagues by feigning vigor. But modernity's abundance unmasks the maladaptation. Abundant opportunity demands authentic risk, yet your wiring screams conform. Longitudinal data from the Dunedin study correlates childhood adversity with adult authenticity deficits, predicting burnout odds ratios of feel this viscerally now. Recall a moment. The colleague's cutting remark. Sympathetic surge, heart races, palms sweat. Schema activates. Don't react. Comply. You smile. Throat constricts. Dorsal shutdown. Effect implodes into solar plexus stone. Later, the crash, adrenal fatigue, emotional numbness. This loop, repeated 10,000 times, myelinates pathways of pretense, faster firing, harder to interrupt. Neuroplasticity cuts both ways. Awareness sparks pruning via long term potentiation reversal, but requires deliberate repetition. Enter the forward loop. Coherence practices like breath work restore ventral vagal tone. Schemas yield to earned secure models. Somatic release via TRE. Trauma releasing exercises. Vents the backlog. Yet, the battlefield tilts toward hope. Mirror neuron research shows co regulation heals. Authentic witnessing, yours or another's, reactivates dormant circuits. Dan Siegel's names it to tame it leverages left hemisphere integration, diffusing amygdala hijacks. Pharmacologically adjacent, SSRIs hint at serotonin modulation, easing HPA overdrive, but true rewiring demands embodiment. Yoga's asana disrupting fascial holds, breaths 478, rhythm hacking vagal tone. Case vignette. A 38-year-old executive, pretender archetype incarnate, enters therapy with unexplained ABS insomnia. Polyvagal mapping reveals dorsal dominance. Schema work unearths maternal conditional love. 6 months of somatic experiencing IBS resolves 80%. Authenticity scores via authenticity scale leap 45%. Her body, once battlefield, becomes sanctuary. Philosophically, this rewiring echoes Epictetus. Men are disturbed not by things, but by the views they take of them. Your views' neural schemas distort reality into threat. Rewire, and the world softens. The silent erosion? It's neurochemical. Authenticity floods oxytocin. Pretense starves it, isolation's void. Default mode network hyperactivity and rumination silenced by present. You're not broken. You're battle hardened. This foundation empowers quitting, not willpower's war, but systems alliance. Witness the pretender's genius, then gently retire it. As we advance, the emotional cost unfurls invisible grief's philosophical weight, where unspent vitality curdles into existential shadow. Where does this unexpressed fear actually come from? Chapter 4. The Emotional Cost, Invisible Grief and Philosophical Weight. The toll of pretense isn't measured in hours logged or promotions earned. It's carved in the quiet currency of your soul. Grief invisible, profound, accumulating like dust in an abandoned cathedral. You've armored against the world's gaze, but the shrapnel lodges inward, shredding the fabric of your inner life. This is the emotional cost, a chronic hemorrhage of authenticity, where every veiled truth births a phantom limb of longing. You move through days intact, on the surface, yet hollowed by what you've forsaken, not just dreams deferred, but the very capacity to dream without apology. Feel it now, that subtle ache behind your sternum, the weight of unuttered I am enough echoing in the chambers of your heart. This invisible grief manifests first as emotional amputation. Psychologically, it's the suppression of core affects, rage transmuted to resignation, joy diluted to pleasantry, sorrow sealed in somatic vaults. Each denial erodes what Dieter Winnicott termed the true self, leaving a compliant husk animated by habit. Metaphorically, envision your psyche as a vibrant coral reef, once teeming with neon fish of passion and curiosity. Pretense is the slow poison of sedimentation. Layer upon layer of accommodation smothers the color, turning paradise to gray monotone. Divers, your intimates, marvel at the structure's scale, blind to the death beneath. You, the reef itself, suffocate in silence, vitality siphoned to sustain the facade. Philosophically, this accrues as existential weight, echoing Kierkegaard's despair of the aesthetic life, endless possibility pursued through masks, yielding infinite postponement of essence. You're not living, you're simulating trapped in Heidegger's inauthentic mode, where Desmond the they dictates your script. The burden compounds, every interaction a micro betrayal, trading presence for performance. In relationships, you offer echoes, not emanations, vulnerability, curdles to calculation. The lover senses the distance, attributes it to their flaw, deepening mutual isolation. Career becomes Sisyphean. Summits scaled, yet summits of self elude grasp. Self worth, a ledger of external validations, perpetually unbalanced. Delve into the grief's strata. Surface layer, anticipatory loss, the daily funerals of desires, unvoiced. You crave solitude, yet RFB. Yes, yearn for creative pursuit, yet clock in for Pharisee. Each concession a dirge, mourning the path not taken, deeper, cumulative betrayal trauma, akin to complex PTSDs, relational wounds. The pretender, your ancient ally, now gaslights your core. See, authenticity invites pain. This internal schism births chronic dissociation where life unfolds at arm's length. Neuroemotionally, it's depleted serotonin pathways, oxytocin droughts, biochemistry starved of genuine exchange. Studies on emotional suppression, Gross and John 2003, link it to alexithymia, the numbness to feeling, where grief transmutes to anhedonia, pleasure's ghost. Symbolically, this cost is Prometheus unbound in reverse, fire stolen from self, gifted to gods of approval, leaving you chained to regret's rock. Each dawn, an eagle of exhaustion pecks at your liver of latent potential. The philosophical heft lands in commas absurd. Rebellion against meaninglessness demands authenticity, yet pretense amplifies the void, turning existence to exile. Sartre's bad faith indicts this precisely, the lie to oneself that freedom is peril, justifying inauthenticity as fate. Your weight, the gravity of unlived lives, pulling vitality into black hole of what if. Witness it in vignettes of erosion. The family dinner, laughter erupts. You join with calibrated mirth. Inside, a child's hurt resurfaces, unheard then, unspoken now. Grief layers, for the boy silenced, for the adult still muting. Or the mirror ritual, eyes meet, but souls averse. You've aged into someone else's story, lines etched not by joy's creases, but suppression's furrows. Friends drift, mistaking polish for profundity. Lovers depart, scenting the emotional aridity. Isolation calcifies not loneliness of solitude, but of invisibility amid this grief philosophically elevates to ontological loss, the death of being. Aristotle's eudaimonia, flourishing through virtue, requires alignment of action and essence. Pretense fractures this telos, birthing anomie, Durkheim's normlessness of the spirit. Ecologically, its desertification, pretense as monocrop, stripping soil of diversity. Your inner ecosystem, intuition's wilds, passions, forests, barren, yielding only fatigue's thorns. The toll quantifies in shadows, elevated allostatic load, McEwen, telomere shortening, immune dysregulation, but metrics pale against qualia. The felt absence, where wonder once sparked now flickers dimly, yet herein stirs resilience ember. Grief, when witnessed, transmutes to wisdom. The pretender's cost illuminates its obsolescence. What served scarcity now sabotages abundance. Honor the grief not as victimhood, but as oracle, mapping the void's contours. This invisible ledger demands audit. What fragments of self have you pawned? Reclamation begins in acknowledgement, the first exhale of suppressed sobs. The emotional architecture reveals relational fallout, projections birthing conflict, boundaries porous as mist, career stagnates in unspoken ambition. But beneath pulses the core fear, primal, unfaceable. Where does this unexpressed fear actually come from? It traces to origins, shadowed, wounds primordial, demanding excavation. Linger in the grief, a moment longer, let it tenderize the heart, for truth's scalpel. The weight lifts not in denial, but this chapter 5. The core fear and daily life complication, fear of being truly seen and rejected, fear of being truly seen and rejected, fear of being truly seen and rejected. This is the core fear, the primordial terror etched into your pretender's marrow, a relentless echo chamber amplifying every moment of potential exposure. It's not mere shyness or social anxiety, it's the visceral dread of annihilation through authenticity, the soul's conviction that unveiling the raw, unpolished self invites not just disapproval, but erasure, born in the cradle of conditional love. This fear whispers, your essence is unsafe. Hide or be discarded. It complicates the simplest daily rhythms, turning breath into battleground, coffee into calculus, connection into conquest. Picture the morning cascade, now laced with dread. You rise, the first complication the mirror's gaze. Core fear surges. What do they see? The competent facade or the fraying edges, prompting the ritual polish, hair smoothed, posture squared, expression neutralized. Breakfast becomes negotiation, hunger genuine, but vulnerability in need? Eat quickly, don't impose slowness on the day. Commuting traffic tests resolve, horn blares, rage flares, authentic, but fear clamps it down. Smile, wave politely. Conflict equals arrival at work. Emails flood, each a minefield. Reply enthusiastically to the unreasonable deadline. Fear vetoes honesty. Sure, I can manage. Birthing resentment's slow burn. Daily life fractures under this fear's weight. 1,000 micro compromises compounding into existential friction. Grocery shopping, Select the practical items. Shelve the indulgent chocolate. Indulgent signals weakness, invites judge checkout small talk. Nice weather, you murmur. Core fear throttling. I'm exhausted and dreading this. The cashier's nod reassures the mask, starves the soul. Homeward, phone buzzes, friends invite. Heart quickens with desire, then dread. They'll see my fatigue. Probe deeper, find the void. Response. Sounds fun. What time? Complication cascades. Calendar reshuffles authentic rest for obligatory presence. In intimate spheres, the fear weaponizes proximity. Dinner with a partner. Their question, how was your day? Lands like litmus. Truth tempts, crushing, I feel lost, but fear interjects, vulnerability, a burden, abandonment. You pivot, dizzy but good, eyes averted, they sense the evasion, withdraw subtly, fear vindicated. See, realness repels. Bedtime intimacy fractures too. Desire authentic, but fear of ungraceful need halts advance. Perform perfection or risk ridicule. Sex becomes script, connection curtailed, leaving both hollowed. Poetically, the sphere is the black hole at your psyche's center, warping time's flow. Mundane moments dilate into eternity. Waiting in line, impulse to sigh aloud, fear halts it. Don't draw eyes, laughter in a group, join fully, risk overexposure. Suppress to decorum, even solitude, betrays, journaling truths, fear scans for leaks. What if someone reads? Burn it. Daily hygiene ritualizes suppression. Shower washes body, not the grime of unspoken self. Meals masticated mechanically, flavors dulled by dread of excess pleasure signaling frivolity. Psychologically, this core fear roots in object relations theory. Klein's paranoid schizoid position eternalized or the other is split, idealizer or annihilator, no safe whole object. Authenticity invites the devouring bad breast. Bowlby's separation anxiety amplifies early partings encoded as true self abandonment. Trigger. Neurologically, its anterior cingulate cortex hypervigilance, scanning for rejection cues 24/7, flooding insula with anticipatory shame. Daily complication error detection loops preemptively. That tone was too sharp. Apologize preemptively. Result decision paralysis, where choosing mullets becomes referendum on worthiness. Career amplifies the terror. Meeting pitch, idea, brilliant. Fear mutes it. They'll dismiss the real me. Colleagues' feedback stings. Retort rises, fear swallows. Nod, adapt. Promotion opportunity, I'm not ready. They'll see through. Daily emails rewrite thrice. Authenticity sanded to blandness. Even victories sour. Praise lands. Fear whispers. Imposter next failure exposes. Home life mirrors. Parenting choices second guessed. My way risks judgment from spouse. Chores div to duty, joy preempted by good enough perfectionism. Social media ritualizes the dread. Scroll, curate, post, vulnerable share. No, safe platitude. Likes accrue, fears illusion of safety reinforces. Even nature walks complicate. Bird song stirs awe. Voice it. Sentimental weak. Suppress. Isolation deepens. Sleep evades. Rumination replays unvoiced truths. Fear guarding against dawn's exposure. Metaphorically, daily life under this fear is a tightrope over abyss. Pretense the pole balancing survival. One gust of wind, spontaneous laugh, honest fatigue, and vertigo grips. Fall means obliteration, yet the rope frays. Exhaustion from eternal tension birth slips. Irritable snap, tearful withdrawal. Each proof fear was right. Compounding layers emerge. Fear of rejection begets fear of fear. Meta dread, where noticing suppression shames further. Daily cycles vicious, wake defended, end depleted, quantify it. Actigraphy studies show suppressors average 1.2 hours less deep sleep. Cortisol spikes 30% higher in routine stressors. Existentially, Camus' Sisyphus rolls pretense uphill daily, only to watch it crash in night solitude. Witness a full day's erosion. 7 a.m. alarm, fear steals smile. 9 a.m. meeting truth muted. Noon, lunch feigned enjoyment. 3 p.m. conflict diffused. 6 p.m. family presence performed. 10 p.m. collapse, fear replaying, almost. Wake, repeat, core fear's genius, invisible tyrant, complicating breath to betrayal. This daily gauntlet illuminates the wound's depth, not surface anxiety, but ontological terror. Unmasked, I cease. Quitting pretense demands facing this dragon, not slaying, but befriending. As patterns evolve into adult relational projections, witness how childhood's guardian becomes lover's saboteur, career's architect of glass ceilings. Chapter 6: Adult Manifestation. Relational projection. Childhood's pretender, once a nimble shadow, dodging parental thunder, matures into adulthood's spectral puppeteer, projecting unmet needs onto lovers, friends, colleagues, turning mirrors into funhouses of distortion. What began as adaptation to conditional love evolves into relational sabotage, the core fear of rejection now externalized, birthing cycles of pursuit and recoil that leave partners bewildered and you bereft. This is no accident. It's the attachment schema's grim legacy, where the inner child's terror scripts adult intimacy as battlefield. You've outgrown the nursery, yet the pretender clings, whispering, they'll leave if you show the real you, ensuring self-fulfilling prophecies of isolation. In romantic bonds, projection manifests as the push-pull paradox. You crave merger, oxytocin-starved circuits, hungering for safety, yet project your disowned neediness onto them. You're too clingy, you accuse, when your own abandonment schema screams for reassurance. Early wounds replay. Mother's distracted gaze becomes partner's emotional unavailability. Father's criticism morphs into spouse's unrealistic expectations. Symbolically, it's a tango with ghosts, steps flawless, partners phantom. You initiate with charm offensive, pretenders veil shimmering, drawing them close. Vulnerability nears, fear surges. Projection strikes. Why are you so distant? They hear, masking your terror of engulfment. They withdraw, prophecy confirmed. Cycle spins, reconciliation's honeyed promises, then ruptures blade. Psychologically, this traces to cohit's self-object needs unmet, mirroring idealization, twinship, now demanded perfectionistically from flawed humans. Object relations theory frames it as projective identification. You evacuate shame into them. You're the needy one, compelling behaviors that validate your schema. Neurorelationally, mirror neurons misfire, attuning not to their essence but your template. Daily text unread for hours. Fear floods, abandonment. Projection, accusatory ping. Where are you? They defend, you retreat to dorsal vagal freeze. Intimacy iced. Sex devolves to performance, Authentic desire risks rejection, so scripted ecstasy feigns connection. Postcoital void yawns. Oxytocin spike crashes to cortisol trough. Friendships fracture similarly. The pretender projects superficiality onto circles, ensuring shallow waters. Invite vulnerability, fear vetoes. They'll judge. Instead, project boredom, your life so dramatic, dismissing their bid mirroring your suppressed chaos. Groups become compliance arenas, laugh at crude jokes, curdling your gut, nod to politics, clashing your values. Betrayal looms when authenticity slips, honest opinion voiced, silence falls. Projection, they're excluding me. Bonds wither, leaving friends as audience, not allies. Loneliness calcifies, not solitude, but unlived reciprocity. Family ties amplify the tragedy. Siblings evoke primal rivalries. Their success triggers your minimization veil. I don't care. Projected envy snarls. Parents, origin of the wound, draw fiercest fire. You never listened. You lash, externalizing the inner child's echo. Holidays ritualize this. Forced cheer masks, resentment, projection, blaming their toxicity for your guarded heart. Children, if present, inherit the script unwittingly. You project your not enough onto their flaws, overcorrecting with conditional praise, perpetuating the cycle. Career relationships weaponize projection too. Boss becomes authoritarian father. Feedback, rejections lash. You project incompetence onto peers. They're coasting to bury your imposter dread. Teams suffer collaboration demands trust, but fear projects unreliability, birthing micromanagement. Mentorship evades. They'll see my gaps. Networking, superficial schmooze. Authentic stories shelve. Emotionally, this projection drains via secondary trauma. Each rupture re traumatizes the inner child. HPA axis churning glucocorticoids. Metaphorically, relationships are gardens you poison, seeds of connection sown, then drenched in fear's herbicide, blossoms wither. You mourn infertile soil, blind to your hand. Existentially, Sartre's hell is other people, intensified projections turn mirrors to Medusa, petrifying potential. Vignettes illuminate. Date 3. Sparks fly, stories deepen. Fear prickles, too real. Projection. You're guarded, you say, mirroring your walls. They mirror back withdrawal. Evening ends awkwardly, or spousal argument. Need unmet, truth tense. I feel invisible. Fear clamps, you're overreacting. Projection escalates. Always the victim. Distance grows, divorce whispers, friendship drift, confidant shares pain, empathy, genuine but fear of reciprocity, projects dismissal. Get over it, bond snaps, quantified attachment research. McLinser and Shaver shows dismissing avoidance, pretender kin report 40% lower relationship satisfaction, divorce rates 2x higher. fMRI reveals reduced anterior insula activation in projected interactions, empathy circuits, yet patterns persist. Evolution's cruel elegance. Projection preempts pain, ensuring control. Breaking demands meta awareness. Witness projection as schema echo, not truth. Befriend the child within. Your fear protected, now rest. This relational web ensnares, but illumination dawns. Childhood guardian, now adult saboteur, demanding integration. You've glimpsed the projections, poisoning proximity. We will now dive into the 6 hidden symptoms you experience every day, blueprints of the pretender's reign across life's domains, demanding your gaze. Chapter 7: Adult Manifestation, Career and Internal Identity. You might wake with a knot in your stomach, scrolling job listings not because you're unhappy, but because the quiet dread whispers this isn't enough. Or perhaps you nail the presentation, basking in applause that fades to ash by lunch. They become adults who climb ladders with mechanical precision, yet stare at corner offices, feeling like intruders. This is the pretender's adult empire. 6 hidden symptoms infiltrating relationships, career, self worth, boundaries, emotional regulation, and internal identity. Not flaws, but fingerprints of the archetype. Subtle saboteurs you experience every day, eroding authenticity's foundation. Witness them now, named and illuminated, as the first step toward reclamation. Symptom 1: Relationships. The echo chamber of superficiality. You maintain a Rolodex of connections, colleagues who text happy hour, friends who like your posts, but depth eludes. Daily, bids for intimacy arrive. A coworker's vulnerable share. Your pretender nods sympathetically, yet projects judgment, responding with platitude. That sucks. Inside, core fear throbs. Share back, risk rejection, conversation skim surfaces, laughter polite, not liberating. Evenings end with crowded solitude. Numbers in your phone, no one who knows your shadows. This symptom manifests as chronic relational fatigue, not from volume, but void. Partners sense the emotional scrim, accusing distance. You deflect, perpetuating isolation spiral. Symptom 2: Career. The imposter's perpetual grind. You overperform relentlessly, arriving first, leaving last, volunteering for the impossible. Praise flows. You're a machine, yet imposter syndrome gnaws. They'll discover the fraud, daily complication. The big idea simmers. Fear vet, toes pitching it. Too risky, they'll see gaps. Instead, execute flawlessly on others' visions. Promotions accruing like borrowed trophies. Burnout lurks. Weekends recharging in Netflix numbness, dreading Monday's mask. Career plateaus, subtly, innovation stifled, leadership deferred. You become the reliable cog, not the visionary spark, trading potential for pretense's security. Symptom 3: Self worth. The validation treadmill. Worth ties to output. Gym session checked. Email inbox zeroed. Feedback mined for gold. A good job dopamine. Hits silence screams failure. Daily ritual. Mirror affirmations. Falter. Capable. Proof. Minor setbacks. Delayed reply. Imperfect draft. Trigger shame cascades. Not enough. This symptom births perfectionism's prison. Hobbies abandoned as unproductive, joys deferred till worthy. Self worth fluctuates wildly, high on winds, abyssal in lulls, never rooted in inherent being. The treadmill spins eternally, exhaustion mounting, essence unseen. Symptom 4: Boundaries, the porous fortress. No evades your vocabulary like contraband. Colleagues last minute ask at 8 p.m. Sure. Friends crisis dump. Absorb it. Your pretender equates refusal with rejection. Say no, lose them. Daily invasions. Calendar crammed. Energy siphoned. Physically, it shows. Shoulders hunched under invisible loads. Sleep fractured by unspoken resentments. Boundaries blur. Work bleeds into family, self into service. Resentment festers, unspoken, exploding in passive aggression, sighs, delays, subtle sabotage. The fortress crumbles, sovereignty sacrificed on approval's altar. Symptom 5, emotional regulation. The pressure cookers simmer. Rage simmers beneath civility, grief vaults in chest, joy flickers unvoiced, triggers abound, bosses micro-critique, partner's offhand remark, pretender intervenes deep breath, neutral face, redirected energy, daily toll, somatic pressure, tight jaw, shallow breaths, IBS flares from unvented stress. Emotions don't erupt, they erode. Leaking is irritability, air in solitude, numbness is default. Regulation becomes suppression. Mindfulness apps for control, not feel. Polyvagal freeze dominates. Ventral connection starved, leaving you a reactor of bottled fury. Symptom 6, internal identity. The fractured mosaic. Who are you mask removed? The question haunts quiet moments, drives, showers, sleepless 3 daily, identity fragments, competent professional clashes with aching dreamer, loyal friend wars with boundaryless pleaser, achiever battles the void within. The pretender stitches a patchwork self, versatile but incoherent. Dreams surface in journals, then shelved. Painter, writer, wanderer impractical. Internal monologue, tyrannical. Who do you think you are? Cohesion dissolves. You become roles in rotation, core essence exiled. This symptom births existential drift, life competent, soul adrift. These symptoms interweave daily, a symphony of subtle suffering. Warning, self worth demands productivity grind. Symptom 3, boundaries yield to urgent emails. 4, midday, career imposter mutes bold input. 2, emotions simmer unheard. 5, evening, relationships skim true connection. 1, identity questions echo unanswered. 6, quantified authenticity scales. Wood et al. Show pretenders scoring 25-35% lower, correlating with 40% higher burnout incidence. Neurologically, default mode network overdrive ruminates symptoms, prefrontal fatigue perpetuates them. Metaphorically, you're a grand clockwork orchestra. Gears symptoms mesh flawlessly for the audience, but the conductor you listens to discord alone. Each tick erodes the mainspring, authenticity's coil. Career manifests as gilded cage, identity as funhouse mirror, reflecting distortions, yet naming disarms. These aren't character defects, but coping echoes, ancient signals demanding update. Honor their intelligence. They navigated early chaos masterfully. Now witness without war, the mosaic reassembles not by force, but gentle attention. You've mapped the symptoms terrain, blueprints begging revision. The pretender's reign exposed, integration beckons. Awareness dawns. These are mechanisms, not you. The first step is speaking to the body, regulating the nervous system, where healing's roots plunge deep. Chapter 8, Awareness and Unlearning, Silencing the Inner Critic. Pause here. In this breath between symptom and solution, you've witnessed the pretender's empire, the 6 hidden symptoms threading through your days like invisible sutures, holding the fracture in place. But here's the radical truth. These are not personality traits etched in stone. They are coping mechanisms, elegant survival software, installed in the chaos of your early world, now running obsolete code on adulthood's terrain. The inner critic, the pretender's shrill herald, barking you're not enough. Perform or perish isn't your authentic voice. It's a frightened echo, a neural subbrain, looping shame tapes from yesteryears. Awareness isn't analysis, it's witnessing. The unlearning begins when you turn from self gaslighting, I should be better, to compassionate observation. There's the fear arising now. I see. Frame this first as ontological shift from identification to disidentification. Jung's active imagination meets modern schema therapy. You are not the pretender. You are the vast awareness in which it dances. Daily practice when symptom 3 is validation treadmill spins, self worth crash post meeting. Pause. Label it somatically. Chest tightens. Critic says fraud. This is the old protector activating. No war, no suppression, just name. Neuroscientifically, this leverages the prefrontal cortex's metacognitive override, interrupting amygdala hijack via the ventromedial pathway. Studies, Librum, 2007, show affect labeling reduces emotional intensity by 30%, thinning the critic's fog. Witnessing transmutes judgment to curiosity. What does this fear protect? The inner child emerges, small and vigilant, deserving embrace, not exile. Silencing the critic demands unlearning's triad: somatic anchoring, narrative reframing, and relational mirroring. Somatic anchoring grounds in the body, where the pretender's grip clenches, psoas frozen in flight, vagus muted in freeze. Practice 4-7-8. Breath. Inhale 4, hold 7, exhale 8. Ventral vagal activator purporges. Feel the critic surge. That was stupid after a boundary slip. Symptom 4. Anchor hand on heart. Breathe into the stone in your gut. I am safe now. This is old day. Over weeks, neuroplasticity prunes hypervigilant loops, coherence builds, critic's volume fades from scream to murmur. Metaphorically, it's thawing permafrost. Awareness's warmth melts rigidity, allowing authentic flow. Narrative reframing rewrites the schema script. The critic narrates, "You're defective, hence the mask." Counter with evidence-based autobiography. I adapted brilliantly to scarcity. Now abundance calls for update. Journal prompts excavate. What did 8-year-old me need that pretense provided? Safety? How do I provide it now? Presence. Internal family systems. Schwartz frames the critic as exiled part banish it not, but lead it. Dialogue. Critic, thank you for vigilance. Step aside, I've got this. Repetition myelinates new pathways. If emirates new pathways. If MRI shifts show reduced insula shame response after 21 days. Daily integration. Morning mirror. Affirm not I am worthy, but I witness the worthy one within. Relational mirroring amplifies unlearning, external reflection, heals internal schism. Share a symptom glimpse. I notice a people please old habit. Safe witness responds. I see your strength in noticing. Mirror neurons fire authentically, rewriting attachment models from conditional to earned secure. Avoid gaslighting's trap. Everyone does it. For specificity. In that meeting, I swallowed my truth. Co-regulation quiets the critic. Oxytocin surges, dorsal shutdown lifts. Group therapy or trusted ally. Weekly check-ins track critic volume, 110 scale. Celebrate decibels drop. The inner critic thrives on self-gaslighting. Dismissing awareness as overthinking. Counter-track micro-wins. Symptom 5, emotional simmer. Witness the heat. Exhale labeled anger arising. No fix, just hold. Over time, regulation autonomizes. Emotions flow, not fester. Pitfalls lurk. Spiritual bypassing. Just be present. Intellectualizing. I know this. Anchor deeper. Embodiment trumps cognition. TRE or Yoga Nidra discharges somatic backlog, silencing the critic's physiological megaphone. Philosophically, this echoes Epictetus's dichotomy of control, critic policies, the uncontrollable, others' views. Awareness reclaims the sovereign self. Existentially, Heidegger's Geworfenheit, thrownness into pretense, yields to Arraigness authentic owning. The silent erosion reverses. Each witnessed moment rebuilds authenticity's muscle. Vignette Sarah, 42, executive pretender. Symptoms rampant imposter grind, porous boundaries. Week 1, awareness log symptoms, critic rages. Week, somatic breath, volume drops to 7. Week 4, reframes protector, rest. Relational share with coach, tears relief. Month 3, pitches bold idea, critic whispers only. Authenticity scale postfudent. Her body softens, sleep deepens, gut calm, unlearning's arc. Resistance critic doubles down. Grief mourning old armor. Emergence spontaneous snow. Unscripted laughs. Patience 66 days average for habit shift. Lally 2010. Tool stack. Rain. Recognize, allow, investigate, nurture, per terra brack. Self compassion breaks. The critic quiets not by conquest, but invitation to tea. You've begun witnessing dissolves identification, coping mechanisms honored, unlearned gently. The body, long ignored, now calls nervous system regulation as healing soil. The first step is speaking to the body, regulating the nervous system, where true quitting roots and blooms. Chapter 9, the beginning of healing, actionable paths. Breathe into this moment, where the pretender's shadows soften under awareness's gentle light. You've witnessed the symptoms, silenced the critic's tirade, not through force, but faithful seeing. Now healing stirs warm and reflective, like dawn creeping over a fog-shrouded valley. This isn't a checklist for perfection. It's an emotionally honest path toward wholeness, grounded in 3 pillars: inner child reparenting, shadow work, and nervous system regulation. These aren't techniques to fix you. They're reunions with the exiled parts, invitations to inhabit your skin fully. The body, long the pretender's silent vault, becomes ally first. Feel the possibility, quitting pretense not as loss, but homecoming. Begin with nervous system regulation, the foundational soil where all healing takes root. Your polyvagal pathways, wired for pretenses freeze and fawn, crave recalibration to ventral vagal safety. The state of cohere, connect, create. Daily anchor the 478 breath, but embodied. Sit, feet grounded, hand on heart and belly. Inhale 4 counts into the low ribs. Diaphragm expansion signals safety to the brainstem. Hold 7. Suspend sympathetic rev. Exhale 8 through pursed lips. Vagus stimulation. Do 3 rounds morning and night. Mid-symptom surge. Boundary breach. Pause for 1 cycle. Why it works. Porges' research shows vagal tone rises 25% in minutes, downregulating HPA cortisol floods. Metaphorically, it's defrosting the river ice of dorsal shutdown melts. Authentic flow resumes. Layers somatic shaking, Peter Levine's TAE, trauma releasing exercises. Lie down, feet against wall. Tremble legs for 5–10 minutes daily. Unprocessed affect, fear's somatic imprints discharges involuntarily, so as quivers release abandonment terror. Jaw unclenches rage. Start slow 2 minutes if overwhelm arises. Track journal pre-post coherence. Body scan 110. Over weeks, symptoms fade. IBS from emotional simmer eases. Sleep deepens. Evidence Van der Kolk studies show 70% symptom reduction in somatic practitioners. This speaks to the body directly. You are safe to tremble, to feel. Next, inner child reparenting, reweaving the attachment schema that birthed the pretender. This is devotional. Become the parent your younger self craved, consistent and attuned. Daily ritual 10-minute reparenting. See, close eyes, visualize 8-year-old you. The moment pretense crystallized, ignored plea, shamed dream. Speak aloud, hand on heart. I see your worth. You didn't deserve that silence. I'm here now, and you're safe to feel everything. Address core fear. Your realness is precious. I protect needs unmet then. Meet now. If comfort lacked, wrap in blanket, play shelved, dance freely 5 minutes. Weekly, write letters from adult to child. I love your wild dreams. Child to adult. Thank you for seeing me. Advanced. Reparenting inquiries. During symptom flare, imposter grind, ask inner child, what do you need right now? Often, hug, validation, permission to rest. Respond immediately, no delay, mirroring secure attachment. Neurodevelopmentally, this rewires mirror neurons and HPA set points. fMRI shifts mirror maternal attunement studies. Emotionally honest caveat. Grief surfaces, rage at origin wounds. Hold it. This hurts and I'm here. Longitudinal, 12 weeks yields 40% attachment security gains. Vignette. Mark. Pretender in sales, reparents daily. Boundary symptom dissolves, says no fluidly. Promotions follow authentic pitches. Child within beams, wholeness dawn. Shadow work. Jung's alchemical gold integrates the disowned wild, the pretender's projected veils. Shadow, rage suppressed to compliance, desire veiled as duty, selfishness exiled as vice. Portal, active imagination. Evening dim light. Journal, what part of me do I fear most? The lazy dreamer shamed young. Dialogue, shadow, what gifts do you hold? Often, intuition, boundaries, joy, embody, exaggerate, stomp rage 2 minutes safely, voice forbidden truths to mirror. I hate this job. Integrate, find constructive outlet, paint suppressed creativity, assert one boundary weekly. Ritual, shadow altars, collect symbols, broken toy for abandoned play, thorny branch for rage. Weekly gaze, affirm, I welcome you home. Dreamwork amplifies, record night visions, query shadows therein. Pitfall, overwhelm, titrate, always ground post. Tiarishe, evidence. Sand play therapy derivatives shows 60% integration markers post 3 months. Philosophically, it's Nietzsche's Omar Fadi Love Your Fate, shadows included. Honest truth, resistance bites, shadow feels wrong. Persist, wholeness demands. Interweave pillars daily. Morning NSR breath, midday child check in, evening shadow journal. Track and healing ledger, symptoms pre post, felt shifts. Community. Find witness a therapist versed in IFS or AEDP for co regulation. Pace honestly. One backslide. Reparent self compassion. This is human. Timeline. 90 days for momentum. Years for mastery. Resistance as teacher. What fear protects. Metaphorically, healing is Phoenix Forge. Ashes of pretense fuel flames of integration. Body regulates fire tended. Child held, nest rebuilt. Shadow embraced, wings unfurled. Exhaustion lifts, authenticity pulses. Spontaneous knows, unscripted laughs, dreams pursued. You're not starting from zero. Awareness paved this. Step gently. Wholeness awaits. As paths converge, affirmation seals the journey, not repair, but Chapter 10 Conclusion and Affirmation. Wholeness in the final. You've journeyed far from the dim theater of morning pretense, through the pretender's shadowed archetype, across nervous systems' battlefields, into grief's invisible cathedrals, core fears echoing chambers, relational projections tangled webs, the six symptoms daily siege, awareness's quiet revolution to healing's tender paths. Feel it now, the weight lifting not all at once, but in subtle shifts, the breath that deepens unbidden, the no that slips out steady, the mirror gaze that meets your eyes with recognition rather than rehearsal. This isn't the end of struggle, it's the dawn of sovereignty. You've quit not by shattering the mask in fury, but by witnessing it dissolve in light. The silent erosion reverses. Authenticity's river carves anew, washing clean the void. Reflect on the arc. That core paradox, done pretending, yet unable to stop, revealed itself as ancient genius turned tyrant. Polyvagal wires, attachment schemas, somatic scars, all mapped, honored, rewired. Emotional costs tallied in grief's ledger, now alchemized to wisdom, daily complications mirrors, meals, meetings, transformed from minefields to portals, relational projections, once puppeteers' strings, cut loose for mutual gaze, symptoms named, superficial echoes, imposter grinds, validation treadmills, porous fortresses, simmering cookers, fractured mosaics, each witnessed, unlearned, inner critic, hushed from shriek to whisper, healing pillars erected, breath's anchor, child's embrace, shadow's welcome. You've not erased the pretender, you've integrated its vigilance into your vastness. Philosophically, this quitting echoes the deepest human quest, from fragmentation to unity. Carl Jung captured it profoundly. The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. Not a new self forged in self help fire, but the original essence unveiled, wild. Jung knew the pretender as inflated persona, eclipsing the self. Wholeness demands descent into shadow's cave, child's cradle, body's wisdom. You've done this. No longer the oak twisted around rejection stones. You stand rooted in truth, branches free to sky. Nietzsche's Amor Fati resonates too. Love the fate that built the armor, for it led here. Existentially, Heidegger's authentic Dasein awakens, thrown into pretense's Dasein, sees Eragnus, owning your being unapologetically. Viscerally, wholeness feels like this. Mornings where the alarm hums, not slices. Feet hit floor with curiosity, not dread. Coffee savored slow. Notifications skimmed without script. Meetings where truth ventures. I need time to think, and space granted, not scorn. evenings with lovers, friends, stories raw, laughter from belly, silences shared, not filled, dreams journaled, pursued, the painting begun, the boundary held, the sabbatical whispered aloud. Body signals trusted, guts know as sacred as heart's yes. The void filled not by achievement, but presence. Solar plexus warm, vagus humming, oxytocin flowing in authentic exchange. Yet honesty tempers triumph. Backslides come. A symptom flares, critic snarls mid pitch, fear clamps a vulnerable share. Meet it as old friend, arising now, witnessed, held, healing spirals, not lines, each loop deeper integration, community amplifies. Share this script's resonance in comments below. What symptom struck hardest? Which path calls first? Your story mirrors another's, co regulating collective unmasking. Hit subscribe, not for content's sake, but companionship on this path. Notifications on weekly drops of somatic tools, shadow prompts, reparenting guides. Together, we quit pretense's isolation, birthing a world of wholes. Symbolically envision your life as reclaimed cathedral, pretense's dust swept, stained glass mended, light pouring through unfiltered. No pews of performance, altar of essence, candles flicker for exiled parts, rage's flame, grief's glow, joy's blaze, all welcome. The pretender, retired sentinel at the gate, nodding passage to the sovereign within. The goal is not to be fixed, but to become whole. Fixed implies fracture mended to former shape. Whole embraces all shards into mosaic radiant. You're not repairing a broken vessel, you're the ocean, waves of wildness, depths of quiet, storms and calms interwoven. Quit pretending the ocean needs permission to surge. You are the surge. Live it. Carry this affirmation into breath. I am seen, whole, enough, now and always. Speak at dawn and dusk, hand on heart. Watch synchronicities bloom, opportunities aligning with essence, connections deepening, vitality surging. You've quit. The world, softer now, awaits your unvarnished gaze. One final exhale. Rest here. You've come